Welcome to Traveler's Tales. I am your host, Greg Alonzo. This week we will be taking a look at the Great Library of Alexandria. However, before we begin, just a reminder that we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. When we think of the city of Alexandria, our initial thoughts are of its founder, Alexander the Great. Though Alexander named some 70+ cities after himself, and at least one city after his horse, Bucephalus, it is generally acknowledged that he had intended Alexandria, Egypt, to be the capital of his empire. Contrary to popular belief, the Great Library of Alexandria was not the first library of its kind. A long tradition of libraries existed in both Greece and in the ancient Near East. The Great Library of Alexandria was one of the largest and most significant libraries of the ancient world. The library was part of a larger research institution called Museum, which was dedicated to the Muses, the 9 goddesses of the arts. The reason the library was built as part of the Museum was to show off the wealth of Egypt. The Bruchelon, or Royal Quarter, was indeed a grandiose display depicting Alexandria as the first city in the world. The idea of a universal library in Alexandria may have been proposed by Demetrius of Phalerum, who was an exiled Athenian statesman living in Alexandria. He proposed the library to Ptolemy I Soter. Some historians believe that though Ptolemy did have plans for the library, it did not come to pass. However, it is assumed that the library was built by his son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus. The library quickly acquired many papyrus scrolls, due largely to the Ptolemaic kings and their aggressive and well-funded policies of procuring texts. Tradition has it that every ship that pulled into port had all its texts confiscated and taken to the library. Once the scrolls were copied, they oftentimes were returned to the owner. It is unknown precisely how many scrolls were housed at any given time, but estimates range as high as 700,000 copies. Alexandria came to be regarded as the capital of knowledge and learning, in part because of the Great Library. The subsequent Macedonian kings who followed Alexander the Great as rulers of the Near East wanted to promote Hellenistic culture and learning throughout the known world. The ambitions of the Ptolemies was to produce a repository of all knowledge. Libraries also added great prestige and attracted scholars who provided practical assistance in such matters as ruling and governing the kingdom. Eventually, for these reasons, every major Hellenistic urban center had a royal library. With regard to the Great Library of Alexandria, many important and influential scholars worked at the library during the 3rd and 2nd centuries before the Common Era. Zenodotus of Ephesus worked towards standardizing the texts of the Homeric poems. Later it was Aristarchus of Samothrace who produced definitive texts of the Homeric poems as well as extensive commentaries on them. Callimachus, the author of Pinakes, is often attributed to first cataloging the library. Apollonius of Rhodes, who composed the epic poem the Argonautica, also had membership to the library. In essence, the Great Library of Alexandria was the world's greatest think tank. Not only authors flourished in Alexandria, such important scholars as Eratosthenes of Cyrene was the first to calculate the circumference of the earth within a few hundred kilometers of accuracy. The influential Aristophanes of Byzantium, who invented the system of Greek diacritics, and the first to divide poetic text into lines, was invited to work in Alexandria. Women philosophers were also encouraged to come to Alexandria. Hypatia was among the first. She was a renowned Hellenistic Neoplatonic philosopher, astronomer, and mathematician. Though Hypatia is often regarded as the first woman to teach at the Library of Alexandria, she was actually preceded by Pandrasion. We are fortunate in that Hypatia's life was reasonably well recorded. Though she was a pagan, she was tolerant towards Christians. She also welcomed them to attend her lectures. Sadly, false rumors embroiled her in a political struggle within the Christian diocese, and in 415 of the Common Era, she was murdered by a mob of Christians. Nevertheless, the Great Library of Alexandria was typically a venue that provided safe employment for well over 100 important and influential scholars. During the reign of Ptolemy III, Euergetes, a sister library was established in the Serapeum, a temple to the Greco-Egyptian god Serapis. Despite the widespread modern belief, the Library of Alexandria was burned once and cataclysmically destroyed. The library actually declined gradually over the course of several centuries. The decline began with the purging of intellectuals from Alexandria in 145 before the Common Era, during the reign of Ptolemy VIII, Physcon. Unfortunately, this resulted in the resignation of the head librarian, Aristarchus of Samothrace, who relocated to Cyprus. Many other scholars, including Dionysius Thrax and Apollodorus of Athens, also fled to other countries, where they continued teaching and conducting scholarship. The library, or part of its collection, was accidentally burned by Julius Caesar during the Alexandrine War in 43 before the Common Era. However, it is actually unclear how much was actually destroyed. It does seem that the damaged section of the library was rebuilt shortly thereafter. As tradition has it, the Great Library was seen by Cleopatra as a jewel in her kingdom. Unfortunately, the library dwindled during the Roman period due to lack of funding and support. Between 270 and 275 of the Common Era, the city of Alexandria saw rebellion and an imperial counterattack that destroyed the Great Library of Alexandria. In 391 of the Common Era, under a decree issued by Coptic Christian Pope Theophilus of Alexandria, the Serapeum was vandalized and demolished. This is the end of Part 1 of the Great Library of Alexandria. In Part 2, we will take a look at your comments and questions. Just as a reminder, we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon to be notified each time we post new videos. For your convenience, we have also included below our email address and Instagram information. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Traveler's Tales. Cartistos.